Cops across the country, FBI agents, DHS, they all knew about Jeffrey Epstein and they did nothing. And here's the proof. This comes from Just Security. They are an independent, nonpartisan research firm, and all they do is look into corruption. And they found a timeline of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell law enforcement failures from 1996 until 2025. Let's get into it. One point, Maria Farmer, one of the victims, reported Epstein's abuse to the FBI twice on or around late August 1996, but the Bureau did not open an investigation until May 23, 2006, almost a decade later. And here is proof that Maria Farmer went to the NYPD and went to the FBI and they did nothing. Here's the actual complaint from the NYPD. And then you have the entries from her personal journal. And also the notes from the investigation by law enforcement that shows this woman reported this, but nothing was done. Then you have Virginia Giuffre, who said that Epstein and Maxwell effectively said, "We own the police." So Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were known to pay off law enforcement officers, both current and retired, or just resigned, and made sure those officers harassed the victims and made sure the victims never came forward. And then you have May of 2006, the FBI opened an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, Operation Leap Year, but nothing happened. Then the DOJ and the FBI mischaracterized the victims and engaged in victim blaming and even called those child victims prostitutes to protect Jeffrey Epstein. They made it seem like these children were sex workers and not victims. How in the world can a child be that kind of worker, huh? All this to protect one predator. The U.S. attorney in Florida stops the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein before it was complete. And that was U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, same one that was hired by the Trump administration. Yeah, Trump hired this guy knowing that he did what he did with Epstein. He made sure Epstein got a freaking plea deal where he got probation and an ankle monitor despite all the crimes that he committed. And not only did Alex Acosta get that plea deal for Jeffrey Epstein, but there was a deal of a lifetime because the government gave Epstein's attorneys a victim list. So Epstein now knew all the people who actually accused him, and all of the names were not redacted, even if they were minors, which allowed him to harass these victims, hire cops, former cops, to go and harass these victims. I'm going to show proof of that too. And then Alex Acosta also sought to hide the plea agreement from the victims, so they wouldn't even know that Jeffrey Epstein was getting a plea agreement and also probation. And despite being a registered offender, Jeffrey Epstein flew domestically and internationally, and he went to the Virgin Islands, where he paid off Virgin Island police officers to harass victims and cover for him as he abused more victims. And here is a DOJ report showing that what I just said is true. And as you can see, international lockout place, no. Which means he wasn't internationally locked out. He could fly anywhere, despite what he did. There were failures to further investigate Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell before November 2018, despite revelations in several court cases. Didn't even look into them. It was A-OK as far as the government was concerned under multiple administrations. And like I showed in earlier videos, you had Epstein going over to the U.S. Virgin Islands and paying off the police to harass people and also cover for him when he would abuse young victims. And then you had him hiring former Miami police officers in Florida to harass victims. That was discovered by a former Miami-Dade detective whose name is Michael Rustin. And he found that these former cops were harassing victims. Yeah, and Michael Fiston, I said Rustin, but it's actually Fiston. He worked as a Miami-Dade detective who is retired. He's a homicide detective. And this guy looked into some of the people who were harassing some of the victims, and they found, holy smokes, these people are going after the victims. And these people were actually cops. And Epstein paid a large retainer to hire these people who were private investigators, but were actually cops. And some of them allegedly was actually active duty cops, especially in Palm Beach in Florida. So as you can see, Virginia Giuffre, when she said that Epstein owned the police, that was across the country and even outside of the mainland of the United States. And there's no telling how many cops he paid off. Say it with me. Say it with me. All cops are bastards.